Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becky and today's video is going to be a sort of sock planning video. I will leave links to everything that I talk about in the description box down below, as well as links to everywhere that you can find me on the internet. So I have been really craving socks. I really want to knit some socks. And this happens, you know, socks are great. This happens quite frequently that I'm like, I really want to knit some socks and then I don't know what it is that I'm going to knit, and I get overwhelmed by sock choice and yarn choice and all of that. So I decided to use my energy for casting on socks to sort out a couple of projects, and my plan is to wrap them up and then do like a sort of surprise sock, kind of like the blind date with a book, but like for socks. So that's my plan. I have picked out I can't remember, I think it's like 9 sock patterns and 9 yarns to go with the sock patterns, and I'm going to share the patterns and the yarn with you now. The patterns are a mixture of paid for patterns and free patterns. I have found all of them on Ravelry. I'll try my best to look for some Ravelry alternatives if possible, because I know not everyone can use Ravelry, so if I can find an alternative website I will do that. I started off by going through some of my knitting books. I've got like 4 sock knitting books, and then decided that actually I wanted to look for digital patterns. One, because I thought it was going to be easier to share patterns with you if they were digital rather than in a book, and 2, because I won't have to like try and reference a book somehow when I'm like wrapping up the yarn. My plan is to print off the patterns and put those in the little package, or like write the name of the pattern on the ball band or something like that. I'll probably print the pattern out and then wrap that with the yarn so that I've got everything there. I just unwrap my little parcel and everything's ready to go. So they're all the digital patterns. So I went over to Ravelry. I did like a search. I used like the advanced search. I just picked knitting patterns. I've never made crochet socks. I'd like to, but for this I just wanted to stick with knitting. So I did an advanced search for knitted socks and went through and just favorited everything that I saw, added them to like a bundle of socks. Then I went through again and the bundle and like opened tabs, found that quite a lot of them were no longer available, which was a bit sad. But I know some designers have moved away from Ravelry, so I guess that's it. But brought my list down to about 15, brought that list upstairs to my stash, and then I just went through everything and pulled out skeins that really spoke to me, and that from just kind of having looked at sock patterns, things I was like, oh yeah, that might work for that sock, that might work for that sock. Pulled out a load of skeins, piled them all on the floor, sat on the floor, went through each pattern, looking at all my skeins, pulled out like a couple of skeins that I thought would work for each pattern, and then went back through again and chose which yarn I wanted to use for each pattern. And there were a couple of patterns where I was like, no, I don't really have the right kind of yarn, or there are other ones I'd like to knit more. I wanted to keep it under 10 because I'd like to knit these over the next 12 months, and because they are patterned socks, they're going to take me a little bit longer to knit than like just a plain sock. So I wanted to be under 10 so that I wasn't setting myself up for like too much work in the next 12 months. So I have my list and all of my, I'm not sure how this is going to work with me like swapping backwards and forwards to tell you the information that I need to tell you. This was very much a kind of like impulse decision, so let's just go with the flow. I've actually got 10, but that's fine. So the first thing I want to show you before I get stuck into the like patterned socks that I picked today, I wanted to show you or just tell you about oh, some of these still got stitch markers on, about the yarns that I'm going to be using to knit vanilla socks for the next 11 pairs of vanilla socks. Last year I signed up for the Green Lambkin yarn moon, what was it called? Monthly Moons. I'm sure it had a much more sort of eloquent name than Monthly Moons, but yeah, so I signed up for that sock club last year, and my aim had been to knit them all as they came, and then I didn't. I was a bit slumpy last year with the knitting. I was doing a lot, I feel like I was doing a lot of casting on, but not a huge amount of finishing. So I did cast on one pair of these socks, and I am currently still working on them. They are going to be finished very, very soon, and I know that I need to have a plain pair of socks in my bag at all times, so that when I'm out and about, I've got something to do with my hands. So my plan is to work through, this is the bag that I'm keeping them in. It's a Stardew Valley tote bag. I don't know where I got it from, can't remember, but I like it. So my plan is to just work through these, not in any particular order. I'll probably just like reach in, grab one, wind up and get started. And so yeah, I will be working my way through these for any plain sock knitting that I do over the next 11 months. So that's that. So I wanted to have some patterned socks ready to go as well, just as easily as those ones, so that I've got like 2 places where I can pull projects from. I feel like I'm slouching, I'm just going to move you up a little bit. So those are my plain socks, and then for now they're all the skeins are just in various bags, and I have ordered some brown paper, and I'm going to wrap all of the skeins individually, and then I might write something on them so that it's not completely like blind. So like I've got 2 pairs of socks that I'll be knitting for my husband, and so I'll probably make a note on them to say that they're for him. So sometimes I might go to the pile of parcels and be like, I really want to knit a sock for Andrew, let's have a look for one of the ones for Andrew, so I can pick that out like specifically, but I've got 2 socks, so there'll still be like a little bit of mystery about which one is which. And then the other ones I might write sort of like whether it's a textured sock or like a lace sock, or whether it's got contrasting like colours or anything like that, just so that I know a little bit about what I'm getting myself into when I pull that sock out of the bag. Okay, so let's start with the socks for Andrew. The first sock that I have picked for Andrew is called, and I'm going to put a picture of the sock in here so you can see. It's the Java socks by Kaylin Mayer. And I have picked to use a yarn from Giddy Yarns, which I got last year, I think. And it is from Helen's Lord of the Rings collection. It might have been the year before even. Gosh. And this one is Beorn Shapeshifter. And I thought the browns would be really nice with the sort of coffee bean kind of vibe. It's probably not as dark as I would like it to be for like a coffee pattern, but I think it will be nice. So that's the first one, and the second one for Andrew is Petty Harbour socks by Raina Curtis. And again, I've gone for a Giddy Yarns Lord of the Rings themed yarn, and this is Don't Leave the Path. Andrew really likes Lord of the Rings, so I thought I bought these two colourways in mind, with him in mind, so those were always going to be socks for him. So perfect opportunity to have some plans, and I like to make him a pair of socks for his birthday and a pair of socks for Christmas. So that's 2 pairs of socks ready to get knitted for him. I was going to say whether they were free or not. So the Java socks are a free pattern. They were from the Knitty Winter 2011 issue, so I'll definitely have another link for those. Those are a free pattern, and the Petty Harbour socks are also a free pattern on Ravelry, and it looks like they've got a blog, so the pattern is on, so I'll try and remember to link the blog post down below as well. Okay, next socks are the Hibernal socks by Summer Lee, and these have been knitted in the example, they've been knitted in like a nice tweedy yarn, and they just look really cozy and lovely. And these are a paid for pattern on Ravelry, and then I have chosen the Funfetti Christmas from Moonlight Fibre. I got this last year in my advent calendar and have been wanting to knit something. I don't know what it is about tweedy yarns, they just really feel cozy. And I thought this was going to be really nice. The pattern has got like some little cables in as well as some ribbing, and I thought that it would be quite nice between the ribbing and the cables to have a little bit of colour, because it's quite a sort of, there's quite large sections of this natural with then like these bits, so that you'll still see the pattern of the sock because it's not an all over colour, but you'll also get a little bit of interesting colour. So that was my thinking. The pattern examples don't have any contrasting heels, toes or cuffs, but I'm going to do like a little bit of contrast on the cuff, maybe just like 5 rows or something, just to have a little bit of a pop of colour at the top, and then I'll probably do a toe as well in the pink. But I haven't decided yet. I might just do 5 rows at the top and then the rest of the sock in the main colour. But yeah, really excited to use that. I keep like coming to my stash and picking this one up and squishing it and wanting to use it, and then like just not doing it. So I'm excited to have this one in my selection for next year. The next pattern is Winter Rose socks by Helen Stewart. This is another paid for pattern, they're £6. I think there's a couple of patterns on my list that are Helen Stewart paid for patterns, and I can see here that she's got an offer on where if you buy 4, this is on Ravelry, if you buy 4 of her patterns then you get 1 of them for free. So I'll probably take advantage of that offer. But these are the Winter Rose socks. And for these I have picked Flower Dance from Chromatic Yarns, Hannah's Stardew Valley collection. I just thought this was like a really beautiful, like soft pink, like delicate for a lacy sock. And then this is like a flower inspired yarn. So I thought that would be really nice, and I won't do any contrasts, no heels, toes or cuffs. I'm just going to do it all in this beautiful pinky colour. And again, I think that the like variation in the yarn is subtle enough that it's not going to like detract from the pattern on the sock. So that would be nice. Then I have got another Helen Stewart pattern. This one is called Shell Cottage Socks. Let me just check which one I've got. Oh yes. I wanted another, because this is another sort of lacy, where's it gone? This is the problem with having just shoved everything in a bag. It's like, I can't find them now. This is another lacy pattern, so again I wanted something where there wasn't too much going on in the yarn. So I have picked the Wandering Wizard, again from Helen's Lord of the Rings collection, and again I thought it's really like a pale, like not too much going on colourway. Like there is a little bit of speckling and things like that, which I think will just kind of add a bit of interest and a bit of texture, but it's not so busy that it's going to really take away from the like delicate lacy sock. Then I have Dear Björn, I think, and this is by Fibre Creative, and yeah, that's right. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry, but if you have the 52 weeks of socks, it's also in that book. So you don't have to buy it on Ravelry if you've got that book, or if you were thinking about getting the book, then this pattern is in it. So just so you know. And I've gone for something that's quite similar to what they have used in their like example piece, for like a sort of greeny blue, like not too variegated. Again, there's a little bit of variety. I don't buy a lot of like solid colours. I really like the varied colours, so I just have to go for my least variegated yarns for these kind of projects. But I think again it's not too fussy of a pattern, so I don't think it's going to be like lost in a colourway that's kind of got a little bit of variation in it. So this is Pigeon Fancier from Stranded Dye Works. This is one of my two Stranded Dye Work colourways, and I have been keeping hold of it because I was scared to use it because Jude doesn't dye anymore, and so there will be no more Stranded Dye Works yarn, and that's sad, and so I didn't want to waste it, but I feel like it's wasting it for it to just sit on the shelf, so it's time. And this will be a really nice pattern for this yarn, I think. So that's that one. That's by Fibre Creative, and that is another paid for pattern. The next one is another Helen Stewart pattern. These are the Luminary Socks, another paid for pattern, and I will be using a yarn from Jess at Scale and the Stitch. This is Lady Death. So this is from her like Sarah J Maas collection, which was a couple of years ago, I think. And again, I've gone for a sort of, the pattern is a textured pattern, so it's not lacy, but I again didn't want anything that was too busy in the yarn department because the texture is just on the front of the sock and it's subtle-ish, so I think it would be lost in a really busy yarn, but I think this will be fine because the pattern's just on the front, so I wanted the back of the leg of the sock to still be interesting, so I wanted a bit of a variegated yarn, but not so much so that it was going to be like completely drowning the pattern. So that's that one. And then a pattern from the Crazy Sock Lady, Vanilla Bean Socks. I think this is quite a new pattern. I think she put this pattern out pretty recently, and I'm going to use this from Skein and the Stitch as well. This is Misty Mountain. It's another textured sock, so again, didn't want anything where the texture was going to get lost, but it's like a flat texture, if that makes sense, whereas the other ones I was talking about, the Luminary socks, is like more of a 3D texture, like you would feel like bumps and bobbles on the sock. This one is like, I think it's probably going to be like slipped stitches or something to give it like a sort of plushy, squooshy texture rather than like a bumpy texture, if that makes sense. So again, I thought a bit of variegated yarn would be perfect, and I will do a contrasting cuff and toe for those. So that's nice. I am as yet undecided whether or not these will be for me or for Andrew, so I went for a colour that I thought either of us would wear, and I can decide what I'm in the mood for when I pull it out. So that's that. That's also a paid for pattern. I'm sure I had more free patterns on this list, but there we go. Next is the, I'll talk about that one last, I think, actually. So next is the Drippity Drop Socks by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. This is a paid for pattern as well. And I have picked Wash's Wardrobe, which is from the London knitter, who is Laura, who is now Folk Yarn Studios. I think that's the correct order of words. And I picked this one because in the examples of other people's socks, I saw a couple of really nice ones where the yarn is quite busy and colourful, and I thought I wanted mine to look like that as well. So this is another textured sock with like, probably with some like, they look like little cables, but I don't know if they're like truly cable. Oh no, they're like little sort of slipped stitches, I think. They look like cables from the pictures where there's like taken in the slightly far back, they look like cables, but then when you like closer to them, it looks more like a sort of slipped stitch. And then lastly, I really wanted to knit, for a little while, I wanted to knit some Colorwork socks, because I don't do a lot of colour work, so I thought, why not do it on socks? That can't be difficult, right? So I have picked the Spooky Sock Set by Stone Knits, and it's a paid for pattern, and you get two like Halloween inspired colourwork sock patterns, and I would like to do the little ghost one, which just looks super cute, and I have chosen some leftovers. So this is some leftover Stranger Things yarn from Folk Yarn Studios, and then these are both commercial yarns. I think they're probably both West Yorkshire Spinners or something like that. So these will be my little ghosties, and then I'm going to use this for some, probably going to do my cuffs and toes and maybe my heels as well in this, just because I'm not sure how far this is going to stretch as my like background colour. So hopefully, as long as I can get the leg in this, I'll be happy. I think if I can do like the leg in this, and then if I have to switch to the foot in this, then so be it, but at least I'll have my little ghosty legs. So yeah, I'm probably going to split this into 2 balls and just use every last bit of it. I didn't have anything else. I didn't want to like get into a full skein for Colorwork because I thought there'd be the chance that I would use just enough of it that I wouldn't then get a second pair of socks out of it. I don't know. But I like this. I think this will be a nice backgroundy colour, and then with the white for the ghost. So there we go. That is my plan for some sock knitting over the next year or so. I don't know how long it'll take me to get through all of these. Probably will be longer than a year, but it'll be nice to have those little parcels wrapped up, ready to go. I have made a note of all of the patterns and yarns that I'm planning on using, and I'm probably going to find some way of marking the parcels so that I know what yarn is in what parcels, just in case I had a sudden moment of like, I absolutely must use that yarn for this other project, so I could still access that yarn without having to rip open all of my parcels. So that's my plan. I'm excited to do it. Probably going to spend a lot of time now printing patterns and eagerly anticipating my wrapping paper arriving so that I can wrap those up. I think it'll be here at the weekend. So hopefully I'll get the opportunity to put a little bit of footage of me wrapping up my parcels before I edit this and post it, which will be on Sunday. So yeah, let me know if you've ever done anything like this, where you've done like a sort of blind date with a sock, or like sort of a mystery grab bag of socks. I've tried it before and it didn't work because of the way that I did it. I just had everything in like plastic Ziploc bags, and it just took away the... I need to have there be reduced choice. Like, it needs to be a case of grab and go rather than like ponder, what do I want to do? Kind of defeats the point for me if it's like, here's 9 things that I can choose from, because that would still be overwhelming. I just need to be like grab and go. So let me know down below if you've ever done anything like this, or if you think it's a terrible idea, let me know. I would be interested to know that you think that this is not going to work. I think it probably will work for 2 months and then I will forget about it, but we'll see. We'll see. That is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please do hit the like button, and if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing so that you are around for future videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!